Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brothers and sisters, today we're going to discuss about the devil's tricks and how to avoid the devil's tricks. Now, the oldest war that is here on this earth, with all the different wars that are here on this earth, all the different battles of this earth, the oldest one that you've got is the one between Adam and Iblis. Now, Iblis was, the Quran says, kana min al-jinn, he was from the jinn creation. فَفَسَقَ عَنْ أَمْرِ رَبِّهِ, and then he disobeyed the command of his Lord. Now, what happened is that we all know the story in terms of Iblis saying that he's better than Adam alayhi salam, than him disobeying God, than him being sent to the earth. Now, his enmity starts with Adam alayhi salam and the whole of the progeny of Adam alayhi salam. Now, his whole thing is, Quran has said, لِيَدْعُوَ حِزْبَهُ لِيَكُونُوا مِنْ أَصْحَابِ السَّعِيرِ. The Shaitan wants, the devil wants to take all his whole group with him to hellfire. Now, he does this with a number of things, a number of tricks that he has. And his whole thing, look, doesn't matter what kind of battle, what kind of argument, what kind of evil, whatever you see on this earth, it's all stemming from that main battle, which is between Iblis and between Adam alayhi salam. That's the first one. So anything you see on this earth, anything you see where people are not getting on with each other, it's from that main battle, because Iblis wants to, make people fight with one another, and he wants people to go with him, and he wants other jinns to go with him to hellfire. That's his main mission. Now, he's got a number of tricks. The first trick that he played with Adam alayhi salam in Jannah, the first trick that he played is to make somebody believe that what is the real thing is not that thing. So Adam alayhi salam was told not to eat from that tree, and Iblis he wanted him to eat from that tree, because that was the only way he's going to get out from there, come to this earth, and then he could take revenge on Adam with all of his progeny. So what did he do? Iblis took the name of Allah and said, Wallahi, I'm telling you, because the Quran says, وَقَاسَمَهُمَا إِنِّي لَكُمَا لَمِنَ النَّاصِحِينَ. Iblis took the name of Allah as an oath, and then he said, if you eat from this tree, the only reason why you've been forbidden, the only reason why this tree is forbidden is because you're going to become like the angels, or you're going to live forever. أَوْ تَكُونَ مَلَكَيْنِ أَوْ تَكُونَ مِنَ الْخَالِدِينَ. Both you, Adam and Hawa, both of you will become like the angels, or you're going to live forever. And because you're mortals, that's why you've been told not to eat from that tree, because you're going to die one day. So once you eat from that tree, you will live forever. Now, this was his trick of making somebody believe what is not actually there. And he does that with us a lot. Now, this trick of his has been played over and over again in a number of things, okay? So, for example, a sin that is a sin that we see that we're not supposed to do it, he tells us, nah, it's not like that. Nah. If you do that, then this is going to happen. So, for example, he wants to make somebody drink alcohol. It's a sin. So what he's going to say is, he's going to say, alcohol, it's actually a form of relieving yourself. It's going to relieve your pain. It's going to take away your worries. You've seen other people drinking, right? So the whole reason why these people drink it is because they forget about their problems. So if you drink from that, you're going to forget about your problems. So what he's done is that he's given an idea in the head, which is not what that thing. That thing will make a person forget their troubles for a little while, but that thing is also going to make people go a little bit crazy and start to do all sorts of horrible things. Maybe they'll say things they're not supposed to say. They'll act in a way they're not supposed to act. The same way, for example, he wants people to take narcotics. He wants them to take drugs. So he'll come and say, look, you're going to feel really high. You're going to feel good. I'm going to feel, elated and so on. So he'll give some idea, which is the temporary short thing in between. But the long-term thing where a person's going to end up, he won't give that. A lot of different sins he does through this trick, which is to make you believe something. And the Quran has spoken about it. أَفَمَنْ زُيِّنَ لَهُ سُوءُ عَمَلِهِ فَرَآهُ حَسَنًا. The way he does it is that he'll make you think about something which is a sin, but he's going to make you feel good about it. See, that's one of the ultimate thing for the Shaitan to do, is to make a person believe that, the sin I'm doing is actually good for me. Well, what's wrong with it? Think about this, right? I want you to think about this. you might get a waswasa, you might get a whisper from the shaitan saying that, well, what's wrong with this sin? How bad can it be? Come on, God wouldn't create me like that. God wouldn't put these things on, put that thought in my heart and also give me this thing. That's how he makes the person feel. When in actual fact, if you think about it, Allah's not going to lose anything if we sin, nor is he going to gain anything if we worship him. Now think about this. If in a hadith, and a sahih hadith of Muslim, it says, لو أن أولكم وآخركم وإنسكم وجنكم, if the first of you, the last of you, if the jinn of you, if the mankind of you, if all of you became like the best person ever on this earth, if you all became like Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because that was the best individual on this earth, if you all became like that, then Allah Azza wa Jalla wouldn't have anything increasing. Like it wouldn't increase him in anything. If you all worshipped Allah like that, if you all were so good, it wouldn't increase him in anything. And the same hadith says, if the first of you, the last of you, the jinn of you, the human of you, if all of you were to become kanu ala afjari qalbi rajulin wahid minkum, if you all became like the most wretched heart on the earth, if all of you became like Iblis, if all of you became like Fir'aun, or if all of you became like the worst creation Allah has had, then that would not take anything away from Allah. It would not cause any harm to Allah. So our actions, whether good or bad, don't create anything for Allah Azza wa Jalla. They're for ourselves. So the sin itself that you're looking at and thinking, well, what's wrong with that? Well, you're probably right. There's probably nothing so bad about that sin that you're going to do. But Allah Azza wa Jalla has kept consequences of the sins that we do on this earth, and those sins become a darkness for us, and that darkness then is attached to us, attached to our bodies. And if we don't get that forgiven from our bodies, then in the next world there's going to be huge consequences, and if Allah doesn't forgive us, then there's going to be punishment. Okay, so the sin itself might be really small. It might not really affect it might really affect anyone. It might not affect me in some bad way. Okay, I did a little sin, so what's wrong with it? But think about it. The long-term effect is something different. And what the shaitan does is that he always talks about the short-term thing. So he wants us to believe that what I'm doing right now, this little thing I'm going to do, it's not going to be so bad. And that's the thing. He gets you into it. And what he does is that he has khutuwat. So the next thing is, one of the tricks of the devil is that he will take you through steps, okay, different steps. So he'll show a small step first. So, for example, a person violated one thing by looking at the individual when they're not supposed to look at the individual. The next thing is that he's going to make them listen to them. So that's 2 violations, but they're small violations. These are small 2 steps. Next one is that they speak to the person. That's the 3rd violation. And then he'll move to the 4th one, which is the hand touching. And then the 5th one, moving on from there towards the bigger sin. So you can see that the shaitan will take people from different steps. He doesn't normally take people in one go. Now, Shaitan Iblis is one, yes, but he has a massive crew with him. He's got his own progeny, okay, his own children, and children, and so on. And the miraculous thing that Allah gave Iblis, which he never gave other jinns, is that Iblis is to live until the day of judgment. And Iblis asked Allah for this. He said, before he said what he's going to do to the progeny of Adam, alayhi salam, he said, "Anzirni ila yawmi yub'athun." Allow me to live till the day that you're going to resurrect everyone. And Allah said, okay, I'll grant you that. And once Allah granted him that, that's what he said, I'm going to take la'ughwiyannahum ajma'in. I'm going to try and take every single one of his progeny. I'm going to try and take every single one of them to hellfire with me. Now, this thing where he's living for forever, the rest of the jinns that are there, now think about this, right? There's many jinns that see him and they think, wow, he's got this life that he he doesn't die. And they're in awe of him that he doesn't die. Imagine we saw one human being amongst us. That human being has been there for forever and forever and forever. It's like my great-great-granddad saw him, and then my great-granddad saw him, and then my granddad saw him, and then my father saw him, and I'm seeing him, my children seeing him, and he's just recorded as someone who doesn't die. So he must have something very special, and that's what he uses to try and fool his flock. And he tells them that, I'm living for forever, and you're going to be, see, when we get to the other side, you're going to be with me, and we're going to be in a good place. Now he promises them every good thing that he can promise them that they're going to get. It's not like he's telling them that you're going to go with me to hellfire and so on, and describe all of hellfire. No, he tells them, he tricks them. Now, these are jinns that see him, and what they do is that they start to follow him. Not all jinns are following him. There are many jinns that are on the right path. And Surah Jinn has talked about the good jinns, talked about the bad jinns and so on. But anyway, the jinns that follow him, he has a large following, and he sits, according to Hadith in Muslim, the devil sits on his throne by the ocean somewhere, and all these devils come to him and they report to him at a certain point of the evening, like after Maghrib or something. They come and they report to him, and he hears them. He sits down and he hears them. According to Sahih Hadith of Muslim, he listens to them, and one says, I did this, and each one is trying to get the closest they can to Iblis by saying that they've done the worst thing on the earth that they could have unleashed. And what happens is Iblis hears it and says, okay, you haven't done anything. The Hadith says, he says, you haven't done anything. Until one devil comes and says, I went between one male and one female, they're husband and wife. I started to speak to them, and then I caused some friction between them until حَتَّى فَارَقْتُ بَيْنَهُ وَبَيْنَهَا, until I separated the husband from the wife. Now when he says that, Iblis says, come closer to me. And when he comes close, Iblis says, you're the one. Iblis says, you're the one. Now you think about it. What's so great about splitting a husband and wife? And think about all the people who are in constant, arguments and so on, especially with this lockdown going on. A lot of people are in a constant, yap, and husband and wives are yapping at each other. The thing is, if Iblis can separate the husband and wife, then the children, they're the target next. They're the easy target because the father's not going to be around. Mother might be soft in her nature. She might not be able to control the kids, and that's it. The devils are going to have a field day with these children, and then the trauma that these children are going to go through, and then the upbringing they're going to have, where it's easy to make these kids go astray. It's easy to make them go here and there. And even the wife that's just got divorced, she could easily be left without a husband, and she could, find another man without nikah to do something, and that husband, he could find an opportunity to do zina or something. So there's a lot of opportunity here. The second one that Shaitan gets very happy with, and you need to understand. So just before I go to the second one, if people are having their arguments with husbands and wives, you got to understand, just stick together, go through your ups and downs and see all the way through. That's what a marriage is about. Now, the second one where they get really, where the devils get really happy, is that if they can make someone who's going to seek knowledge come off that pathway and not seek the knowledge. Why? Because whoever knows the Quran and whoever knows the Sunnah and whoever's studying that, the more you study, the less Shaitan has influence on you. This is going to be the biggest take you can take from this reminder. If somebody says to you, I'll learn that later, why should I learn it, then I have to practice it. Well, this is your biggest thing. Once you know, you see, and once you see, you act. Let me give you an example. Let's say there's two individuals in a room. One has the knowledge, so this room that they both of them are in is a dark room. Nobody can see what's inside this actual room, but one has the knowledge that there's a snake inside here. There's a snake in this room. And that guy wants to run out, and he wants to warn the other one. So he says to the other one, he says, hey, there's a snake in this room. Now, the other one says, what do you mean there's a snake in this room? I don't believe there's a snake in this room. Now, the second one is not acting because this knowledge is not really going in. He doesn't see it for himself. The first individual knows that there's a snake there, so he's trying to warn the second individual, but it's not happening. So all you need to do now is the second individual, if he was to just to switch the light on, right? If the second individual switches the light on and he sees the snake, there's no need of any more conversation. He's going to run out himself too. So when there's Islamic knowledge and you gain that yourself, it's like switching that light on. You see the danger yourself. You know what there is. You can't just stay there and not react to what's there. And that's the thing. Shaitan's going to do his best for us not to gain that knowledge. That's another trick that he has. Now, if he can, look, if we're gonna try and sort of buy books, Islamic books, we've got the recordings, or we've got the courses that we've subscribed to on YouTube, or let's just say some other, not YouTube, but some other platform on the internet. Okay, so we're gonna join this course, or we're supposed to go to this course. The next thing that Shaitan will do, in terms of whether it's ilm, knowledge, or anything that is good, look, this is the next trick I'm going to tell you that Shaitan has, and it's been said in the Quran in several places. The next thing the Shaitan tries to do is, if it's a good thing, something good that would benefit me, will benefit you, he's going to try and make us procrastinate. He's going to make us delay that and say, I'll get that done. Notice this. Anytime there is a good action, we have this feeling that, I'll do it later. Anytime there's a sin or something bad, or something somebody enjoys in terms of wasting time, that's another one I'm going to get to, right? Anytime there's that there, the person wants to do it straight away. The person wants to engage in, hey, let's get this done, let's get this done. Now, whoever Shaitan wants to sort of take astray, he will try and make them procrastinate. Anything that is good, he's going to make them delay it and delay it and delay it and delay it. And whoever has got a thing to waste their time, or a thing of sin, he's going to try and make them go to it straight away. Now, these are the thoughts that you got to think. Well, what's going on in my head? If there's something good, why is it that I'm not doing it straight away? Well, that's Shaitan at work. That's the devil at work. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that each and every one of us, according to Sahih Hadith of Muslim, he said, there's no person that's born except straight away they get an angel appointed for them and a devil appointed for them. This angel is going to tell them to do good things, and this devil is going to tell them to do bad things. Each and every one of us has got that. Each and every one of us has got that. Now think about it. Whenever you hear in your mind saying that, I should do that, you know what, I should get that done, that's the angel speaking. And throughout your life, that angel's not going to leave you. He's going to keep on giving you good reminders. And whenever you have had that thought in your mind saying that, I feel like doing, it's bad, it's bad, but let me just do it, man. Let me just do it once. Let me just see how it is. Those things, they're from that devil. Now, he's going to, that angel is there, that Shaitan is there. Now, the only way you actually get to remove that Shaitan from you, because that angel won't leave you. But the only way you get that devil to be removed from you is to do the dhikr of Allah Azza wa Jal. Any remembrance of Allah removes that devil from you. Any remembrance of Allah weakens the Shaitan's influence on that person. Now the Shaitan has his influence on the person where he whispers, he comes inside, he whispers. Now the stronger connection he can make, the more times he can come without being sent away, the stronger connection he makes. That's why we're told to always make the dhikr of Allah Azza wa Jal. We're always told to make the dhikr of Allah Azza wa Jal at all times. Wake up, you say the dhikr of Allah. Alhamdulillah alladhi ahyana ba'da ma amatana wa ilayhi nushur. Why are you doing that? Because the Shaitan has already tied 3 knots. And the hadith, Sahih hadith says, he tells us, nam alayka laylun taweel. Says, sleep, you got a long night. Yeah, let me just doze off. Yeah, I've got a long night. He wants us to miss Fajr or miss the tahajjud or miss something that is good that we can do. So he makes us procrastinate. Now, to remove that, what we need to do is to remember Allah Azza wa Jalla. As soon as you remember Allah, Shaitan's influence is weakened and he has to move away. Whenever we're remembering Allah, he has to move away because it burns the Shaitan, or it makes it very uncomfortable for him to stay within my body when I'm doing the dhikr of Allah. That's why it's highly encouraged to remain all the time in the dhikr of Allah. And the second thing that we need with the dhikr of Allah, because some people think that, the dhikr of Allah is enough. The dhikr of Allah alone is not enough. With the dhikr of Allah, you need to have the knowledge of the Sharia. You need to have the knowledge of the Quran and Sunnah. Because if you don't have the knowledge of that, you won't know what is good, what is bad. Shaitan can make a person do bid'ah and make him feel that he's doing good, or she's actually earning a lot of reward. Shaitan can make a person feel that they're doing something really good when they've been misled some way or another. And there are many cases of that. For example, a person is giving a lot of food out, for example, right? But at the same time, Shaitan comes in and says, do you see those people? They're looking at me. See, they're talking about me, and they're saying how good I am and how well. Oh yeah. And he makes the person believe that he is so great. Shaitan's got the person. So he's made them do something good. But the Sharia told us, look, even though we've given people, we're supposed to have our ikhlas and have our sincerity. We didn't do it for those people. We did it for Allah's sake. So let my eyes focus on, the fact that Allah gave me all of that. If Allah never gave me that, then I wouldn't be able to do that. So let me remain humble, right? That humility, that humbleness is of Islam, and it's of the Quran and Sunnah. Now, if you don't have that knowledge and you only have the dhikr, you only have the remembrance of Allah, Shaitan can make a person carry on giving and feel so great and so much pride inside and so much, then a person, starts to think, I'm someone, I'm someone, I gave that money and I did this and I did that. And all this, what it does is that it deludes the person. So what's missing here is the correct knowledge of the Quran and Sunnah. So we need two things to save ourselves from the Shaitan. One is, yes, the dhikr of Allah, remembering Allah, connecting with Allah. And the second thing we need is the knowledge of the Quran and Sunnah. How the Quran and Sunnah have told us to live, we need that. If both of these things are there, then it's very difficult for the Shaitan to make a person go astray. That's why the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam on the one hand has told us to remember Allah in every act. So you're eating, you say Bismillah. Shaitan can't enter with you in eating that, because that Shaitan inside, he enjoys the food as well when Bismillah hasn't been said. When a person is, leaving the house, you say Bismillah again. When you're coming in, Bismillah again. And Shaitan can't have any influence in that house. He can't come in that house. He can't, be in that house, or he can't have his influence, because you've taken the name of Allah Azza wa Jal. That's on one side. The second side is for us to increase our knowledge, because that person who fails to increase their knowledge of Islam, then it's easy for Shaitan to find another way to get into that person. Now, our lives carry on, and we want to stay away from sin. But another one that Shaitan gets people with is, if you can't make a person sin with a major sin, then his next target is to make a person do a minor sin. And if you can't make a person do a minor sin, then he wants that person to waste their time and to be in a state of unawareness of Allah. That's a very good net for Shaitan to catch his prey. Because when a person is unaware, so for example, our phones that we've got, a lot of people don't realize that the phone is, okay, you might not be sinning. There are people who sin with their phone, but there's others who don't sin with their phone, but they are caught in the net of ghafla, of unawareness of Allah. So they sit with the phone, they sit with the tablet, they sit with other things, and they just pass their time. Boom. Shaitan can make a lot of waswas and a lot of whisperings happen if a person is in this state of ghafla, where they're not remembering Allah Azza wa Jal. That's a very good time for Shaitan to get people. And a lot of things that we've got, whether it's a TV, whether it's some kind of streaming thing that we've got, whether it's something you listen to, whether it's some kind of habit you're going to see. This is the other thing that Shaitan tries to get people in. If he can't make a person, the thing is, Shaitan thinks like this: if I can make that person sin once, okay, make them sin once. But that's not good enough. I want the person to constantly sin. So here's where the addiction comes. If you can make a person be addicted to something, then that's like a permanent way of making them go all the way down. So that's Shaitan's next thing. That if you got an addiction, whoa, may Allah protect all of us. I've covered, I think, in these boosters, I've covered in the second one about how to save yourself from sin and addiction. So see that, of how to get yourself out of it. But what I'm trying to say here is that Shaitan's next target is to get the person into a permanent, right, continuous way of getting them attached to this thing, whether it's sin or wasting their time. And Shaitan will do that. He will make a person believe what they shouldn't believe, and he'll make them procrastinate, He'll make them delay things when they're supposed to do them. He'll make them do things when they're supposed to stay away from them. And he'll put things in the mind for the person to think, well, you know what, nothing's going to happen with this. And before you know it, the person could get addicted to this. Now, one of the things that Shaitan will do with a person is that Shaitan will try and, if he can't come one way, he'll come another way, and he'll come another way, and he'll come another way. So Shaitan's not going to give up. The only way for us to get away from Shaitan is to flee to Allah Azza wa Jal. The Prophet Nuh alayhi salatu salam, he said, فَفِرُّوا إِلَى اللَّهِ. Run to Allah. The only safety and the safety helmet you can have is to be with Allah's dhikr, and to be within the remembrance of Allah, and to try and find a good company of people who try and bring us. Look, one thing that is missing in a lot of people's lives is to try and find a good company of people. This one Shaitan hates, because the Prophet ﷺ said that for the Shaitan to, he said for the wolf to attack an entire pack of let's say an entire sort of group of sheep, the wolf's going to find it sometimes a little bit hard. But for the wolf to go after one sheep, a lonely sheep, it's easy. And that's the same thing with us. If we're leading a life without strong people who've got a strong sense of Islam in them, if we don't have our connection with them, and if we don't keep a connection with them, then Shaitan's got us. How much are you going to stay on your own and try and protect yourself? You can try, you might get somewhere, but it is difficult. To surround yourself with a few people, at least have contact with real people in your life who've got goodness in their life, and they're trying to be better and better in Islam. Once I make my connection with them, and once I'm in their company, then it gets better and better for me. And that's my protection. So look, what I've said so far is this: the dhikr of Allah, and you need to have the knowledge of the Sharia, and to surround yourself, or to at least have the connection with good people in my life. If you haven't got such people in your life, then the thing is to find some people online, if you can, to listen to their lectures, or to be in their good company, or to somehow keep in contact with them. That's the best way you can try and keep yourself in a good thing. Otherwise, in our local areas, there are a lot of good people that you can actually find who will keep you in a good company. So that's the thing with Shaitan. Now let's try our best to do these. I've got 3 things for you, okay? Remembering Allah Azza wa Jal as much as we can, and connecting our mind to Allah Azza wa Jal. That's a big thing. Having the knowledge of the Sharia, knowledge of the Quran and Sunnah, to increase that knowledge more and more, because the more knowledge we have, the less Shaitan can find ways to get to us. And the third thing is to find and to have a lot of good people, or people with a good nature, good character, good a'mal, good actions, to have connection with them and to have them in our lives. That's another way of getting ourselves away from Shaitan.